Right, it's going to be an interesting open on Monday in the US market and the Australian market. So obviously the news about Omicron, where we say it, has caused a bit of a tanking. It's interesting, oil sold off, bonds rallied, a lot of moves in the currencies, and obviously the equity markets as well. Gold up and down a little bit, relatively unchanged. So it was a mover. And it happened in low liquidity because of Thanksgiving, and you can take that two ways. You can say, look, a lot of this move happened because of low liquidity. Another one is, and so, it's going to bounce back when the market returns into normal liquidity, but it's such a move that it's going to flush out some margins, and I'd say it's definitely going to have some follow through. I'm short the S&P. I'm short equity risk overall, but short the S&P as well. Now, as I said, you'll see a video like a couple of weeks ago, actually. Just a quick recap on that, and I said there was a short-term topping pattern in, based on a few things. On the weeklies outside the Bollinger doesn't happen that often at all. I said, look, the odds are it's going to come back, which it obviously has. It's technical analysis. It's just about odds, right? You could have gone either way, right? Could have been like another new vaccination kind of released, right? Instead, it was bad news. The other factor is there was a bit of negative divergence going on. You can see there it was kind of coming off the RSIs while it was strengthening here, and just overstretched. So I was that's one of the reasons I was looking to short it, which I did. I also saying there was this little short-term pattern in here, breaking down, which it did. And then I was also saying like there was a bit of this going on, right? And said, look, normally these things break against the parallel, which they did, right? But then I also said, well, look, if it's more like that, right, then it's looking a bit weaker. So it did break up, but it couldn't sustain it. And of course, then when it came back down, and then when the Omicron news came out, it sank. I shorted it around about 46.62, I think it was, which is when it broke down below there. I saw it coming off, and I was right, it's going. Shorted it, still short. You can see that it's paused just in here, just around that level. I think it's going to follow through. It's heavily oversold on the hourlies. On the 4 hourlies, not so heavily oversold, so it's still got some room to go. I'd say very high chance it's going to go there. And if we look at it on the Fibos, from there, I guess if we look at it from this move here, well, look, it's stalled at 38. Go to 50, that would make sense for it to go somewhere in there. I guess you can draw it like narrow it like that. I don't know. None of those look particularly convincing to me. I'd say that is the level that it's going to gravitate towards too. I guess the other thing you could say on the S&P market is the old trend line from the ascending triangle has come in and been back tested, like there. I just think that's reading a bit too much into it. I think that's rubbish. But that is a big move. You can't see a lot of those big 3% moves. I think probably the next biggest one was back there, a few back there. Hasn't been ones for a while. It's got some more to run. There'll be liquidation. The margin lending balances have been pretty punchy. I haven't looked at them lately. Go on the FINRA website, you'll see them. In the Australian market, I've been short the Aussie market as well. I actually squared up my short position, unfortunately, after a gig on Friday night. It was oversold on the 4 hourlies, and for me that is overbought, oversold on the 4 hourlies. That's when I pulled the trigger. It had come back down towards this level. I thought, right, that's probably enough of a move. But unfortunately for me, that Omicron variant is in Australia. So the Australian market is going to go straight here, I reckon, on Monday morning. it's going to just drop. I won't get a chance to re-short it. That's the problem with these moves, right? If you're not on them, I was on it from up here. I've got 100 points out of it, that's all good. But if you're not on it to start with, then it's risky to chase. Even worse to kind of trade it the other way. The other thing that's notable about the Aussie market is you can see this big trend line. That is a significant break. Right? The trend line that I think is going to come back to is this one. Very strong chance. And it could break that low. Right? There's some Elliott wave guys out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that one. And this is reading as a 1, 2, boom, right? It's going to go down. Where to? I'd say it's going to test that. Very good chance it's going to break. Here is the next natural level that I've got in mind, 6,800. A real tanking one is somewhere in this zone here. Just let me get it. That big gap to backfill. I'd say that looks very natural for it to fill. Let's have a look at the FIBO extensions on that, hey? Nothing's really showing up particularly. Nothing very strong. Yeah, but I'd say just where it hit there, bit of resistance there, bit of support there. Again, support up there. If this goes, that's next stop. So I'm going to look at shorting it again. We'll just wait for an opportunity to get there. Currencies been moving a fair bit. I've been short the Aussie as well. All down here, I squared up as well. It had hit this low here, and it was oversold as well. You can see they're oversold on the 4 hourly. So for me, that is a signal to lock in what I can. You can see it's nicely stepped down. Right? See that support there, came back tested, support there, came back tested, support here, came back tested, support there, came back tested. You know, really nice to trade, right? Support there, came back tested, came back, and they just like toilet flushed, right? You know, really didn't look back. Support there. So it's not far off that target there anyway, so I was happy to square up there. I'll look to re-short it on any resistance. It could easily come back a cent. That's quite a long way. We'll see. That's it. The US 2-year yields, I guess that's the other thing. So it's not all roses, right? So I've made money on the equity and currency shorts. The bonds got smoked on my bonds, but they're like a long-term proposition. So they came back from that breakout point, which you can see if I go out to like a weekly. Yeah, you can see that level there. I guess a bit lower, right? Where it tested, where it broke down from back in, you know, when COVID started, it came back, it's tested it, it's had a good stab. It is going to break it, right? And when it breaks, it's going to go there. So I'm just wearing that one and going to roll it. Look, that's pretty much it. Oil smoked. Look at that. It's a good $10 kind of move, right? The NASDAQ, yeah. Here's the thing about the NASDAQ, right? If we just go out, there's negative divergences all over the place, right? Look at that one. Rallied, negative divergence, big sell-off, right? Back here, rallied, negative divergence, big sell-off. You look at wherever it's going to happen, right? It doesn't always happen, right? Because here's a big rally there, big peak, overbought, yeah, sell-off, right? So that overbought there hasn't been that overbought, you know, well, the next time was here, right? Look at that, man. This sell-off, I think, has only just begun. Right? It's definitely going there. And I'd say it's going there as well, at least down to this trend line. NASDAQ's looking very, very pear-shaped. It could go even further. I guess you could draw it like that. Yeah, so that's going to push the S&P as well. So look, that's really it. As I said, that topping pattern I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, and it's come to fruition. So it's not a surprise to me. It never really managed to sustain those highs. It's broken down. It's got further to go. I'm still short that one. I'll look to reshort the currency, the Aussie currency, and reshort the Australian equity market and hold on to my bonds. This is for education, by the way. But I'm not like those other shysters that just want to sell you some shitty training courses for like $7 and they say they're worth like $500. What a joke. This essentially is my trading diary. It's a good discipline for me to actually put on the record what I've got on and why. I find it quite helpful for me. Anyway, that's it. Have a good one. We'll see what happens. We'll see what unfolds this week.